man. And look,
We can't.
there's only so much you can get out of having a base that's not expanding. Like, you
Yeah,
can have your base, but it has to expand to win a general election. You can't have a general election where only your base is coming to the table. You
that's
have
true.
to be expanding and pulling in other people.
But I tell you, Hillary scares me as much as he does, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, and that's the ugly part of this, because we spend so much time on him, we don't get to talk so much about her. And she is, a globalist, a person who looks at these trade deals as a good thing because she's representing the one percenters who she works for. She's a Wall Street woman, always has been, always will be. Walmart baby, that was, where she cut her teeth in law. She's a warmonger. Like, all of the things that people say about her, I mean, even the most, ridiculous stuff, like Alex Jones goes too far. He makes up stuff. But some of the other stuff about her, I mean, it's true. It's not like she's some good, honest candidate.
Yeah.
She's a, the worst of what politics happens when somebody stays around too long. They get ingratiated in these circles, and she is that.
They finally released her speeches to Wall Street, through WikiLeaks, and they were pretty scary.
Yeah, what she says privately is different from what she says publicly.
Yeah.
Like, she's talking about that as if that's a strength, as if that's a good thing. Like, yeah, like I said, man, if the Republicans that ran a traditional, normal Republican, Mitt Romney would have beat her. But they ran this guy because that base got energized behind him, and the momentum was swinging, and now this guy looks like, the person who actually put her in office.
Well,
That's how it's looking right now.
I said earlier before you came on, I was telling Felix, I said to him, if Bernie had won, the Republican pundits said this, if Bernie had won, he would have an easier ride to the White House than Hillary, okay? Because, number one, he was sincere and believable. He only had a few talking points, and he stuck to those talking points. And, he wasn't the liar that she was. And let's face it, most people, and myself included, because I was a big Bernie supporter, couldn't trust what she was saying because, like you say, she talked through two sides of her mouth.
If the Republicans lose the Senate, Bernie Sanders would be the chair on domestic economics.
Well,
think about that. How scary is that for the Republicans if Bernie Sanders is holding the purse string?
I think if the Republicans lose the Senate, they'll be frightened enough by the fact that Chuck Schumer is going to be, the speaker in the Senate, as the leading Democrat. I think he's almost.
Well, that scares me as well.
Hey, look at, no matter who wins, it's going to be ugly.
Yep.
And I don't think, and whoever's going to win is going to last 4 years or get impeached. But they won't last more than
No, they won't
4 years.
They won't be impeached, but they'll have a rough 4 years. Hillary.
Yep.
After 4 years, Hillary may just decide that she may want to hear the term grandma more than she does the term Madam President.
No, I think she's not going to have a choice. I think she's going to.
I don't think either one of them can win. Like, these are two of the most highly unfavored candidates we've seen in generations. I don't think either one of them can win after 4 years of presidency, to where they're going to have gridlock because the other base is going to rally based on them sitting in the chair.
Well, we basically.
So, I don't think either gets a second term.
Well, the bottom line is, we've already had 8 years of gridlock. Add another 4. In 12 years, for some people, for some kids who were born, 8-10 years ago, that's a lifetime for them already.
Listen, for 8 years of gridlock, we sure spent a hell of a lot of money.
Oh, that's not going to stop. We're going to continue to spend money now. Don't get that twisted. The printing presses will be running.
Yeah.
As long as I got the paper and the ink.
Yeah.
You see, the problem is
they will do that.
The problem is you listen to the millenniums, you listen to the young people. Who's going to pay for your free education? The government. How are they going to pay for it?
They don't tell you.
They don't know.
No. They say that the million and the 1%ers are going to pay their fair share. That's not going to pay for everybody's
college. It's not
going
to pay for anything much. You know, if they pay 70%.
Well, it could if they were taxed at the rate that they're supposed to be, but through maneuvering and tax shelters and accountants, that's never happening. Not to mention they are the ones who dictate and write the bills and legislation that we see. So they're sure as hell not going to write the legislation to not go in their favor.
You know,
that's pipe dream stuff.
If you talk about spreading the wealth, literally spreading the wealth, if the multi billionaires part with X number of billions of dollars to make up trillions of dollars, then you can have free college education for everybody.
It's not going to work. There's not enough money.
It's just like, back when TARP was originally passed in order to save the auto industry and everything else, they came so close to $1 trillion, but the Senate knew and Obama knew that he couldn't ask for $1 trillion because then he would start losing his base support, the Democrats. But if they would have taken that money and given it to every man, woman, and child of voting age, those people just would have taken the money and turned it right back into the economy. Okay? People would have bought cars, they would have paid off their mortgages, whatever they would have done to it.
Yeah, but you're speaking like a human. They don't think in those terms. They think in terms of how does this benefit Goldman? How does this benefit, the big boys on Wall Street? How does this benefit the auto industry? That's what they're thinking. So think about the 0% interest loans the auto industry got to revitalize themselves, and then they come back around and act like they're smart for fixing their business after they got this huge, funding from the taxpayers.
Well, that's what
of course they could have done it differently, but that's not how this works. This works in the interest of the and I want to go to 1 to 5%. Because I think by saying 1%, I think we're selling it short.
Yeah, we're limiting ourselves. You're right.
Yeah, but they rule this country, and a lot of people don't like it when I say that, but I mean that's the reality. They rule this country. They determine how it goes, and we can talk all the stuff we want to talk, but until that changes, they're going to determine what happens, and what happens is going to be in their interest. And that doesn't matter if it's a Democrat or a Republican.
Because they got everybody bought off already.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one thing Trump is right about. They do have everybody bought off.
Yep. And it's amazing to hear him talk about him kind of, using all the tax loopholes and everything else. And everybody went to eviscerating Trump, but it's like, okay, well, look above Trump. There are people who make more money than Trump, who are more wealthy than Trump, who are doing the exact same thing. And if you're not printing their name in the paper next to his, what are you really doing?
Yeah.
And listen, everybody tries to get away with paying as much little tax as they can, from the poorest to the richest. Nobody volunteers to pay the government extra money.
Yeah, true. That is true.
I know every year I try to beat whatever I can do legally and pay as least as possible. And I'm sure, Mark, you do the same thing. And
yeah.
Yeah, well, a sad lesson that we'll learn from this election, though, will be that working class people who think they have something in common with a billionaire, at some point are going to realize that they don't.
Well, you see,
it's like the things that you could do to help your tax situation are nowhere near what Trump is capable of doing, or any other billionaire class person is capable of doing, because of what's available to them.
Well,
So,
I don't know.
Just the idea. Go ahead.
I don't, Nash, I don't know if you heard President Obama today, but he was in Cleveland, and he made that very point when he said Trump spent his whole life telling people that he's a member of the elite, and he travels in the elite circles, and he rubs shoulders with them, yada, yada. He said, now all of a sudden he's trying to tell all of you hardworking middle-class people that he's just one of you. You know? Well, if that's the case, where's he been all these years? You know? He's not one of you.
Yeah, that's a great con. That's a great con, but that's also interesting to hear from Obama, whose tea time is with billionaires, captains of industry, and people who determine policy. So,
yeah, but I think that's
really
only
coming from him.
That's only since he's
true.
Well, yeah, but it's only, I think, since he's been president. If you go back to, Barack Obama, the community organizer, and Barack Obama, the senator, it's a far cry from Barack Obama, who rubbed shoulders with Angela Merkel and Hollande in Paris and Trudeau in Canada, and not to mention guys like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, you know.
Well, here's a proving fact. Where does Trump go every year on vacation?
He goes to Mar-a-Lago, doesn't he?
Where?
His other home, Mar-a-Lago.
No.
Well, Obama goes to Hyannis.
Yeah. He goes to Hyannis.
Yeah.
And do you know who?
But you said Trump.
I meant
Martha's Vineyard. Yeah,
Martha's Vineyard. Yeah.
Now,
Dubai. Yeah.
Hyannis and Hyannis. I don't think there's a black person besides him in those places.
Now he's only half black. Come on.
Right.
Okay. And I don't think there's anybody there that's under the 1%er there.
Right.
And that's the only place he goes.
It's weird to hear him try to be the working class guy, speaker, after he never supported labor, went after whistleblowers, hasn't done anything for the economy as far as for working class people besides say, hey, you need to go upgrade your skills, and we got these jobs out here for you that are minimum wage or $10 an hour, but hey, at least we got jobs out here for you. And that guy is going to be the working class hero? Like, nah, man. That's a con as well.
Yeah, I mean, in the last 7.5 years, poverty has gone up. Wages have been steady. They haven't gone up. Wages.
No, for the most part, the money's gone down. You know, you could be earning the same thing, but you're buying less with it. You know.
And every 4 years, every 4 years, Hillary goes and asks for the votes of the blacks. Why? Because they'll vote for her, but. What has anybody done for them right now?
But I like Obama's line best of all.
Hold on, because we gotta stop saying that, because that's the same thing the Republicans do when they go to poor Republicans and tell them that they're being attacked by the others, and if we could only get these others out of the way, you guys would be prospering. So the Republican game is the same as the Democratic game, but for some reason people seem to think, black folks are being tricked by the Democrats. No, they have no other choice. Democrats are the only ones who are openly not hostile to them. Poor white Republicans, the only people who aren't openly hostile to them are Republicans. So they leave you with no choice, and then they come around on the back end and say you're an idiot for voting for them. You know what I mean? Like, what other choice do they have?
All I know is that Bill Clinton was very upset when they called Barack Obama the first black president, because he came out and said, I thought I was the first black president.
Not at all.
Because that's Clinton used to like to say, because of his policies and because he was from the Deep South, okay, that he was the first real black president, okay?
Yeah, the writer Toni Morrison made a joke about Bill Clinton being
I
a black
know.
president,
Yeah.
and for some reason that story has lived on, and Tony